In the peaceful African village of Amoki lived a young girl named Naya. She was only 19, but her heart was full of big dreams. She wanted to be a painter. She loved colors. She loved drawing the trees, the blue skies, and the hills around her village. Naya was the kind of girl who smiled at the sunrise and laughed with the children. Even the smell of roasted corn from the roadside made her happy. She worked at a small tea stall during the day and painted in the evening. Her mother loved her, and her friends always called her the girl with light in her eyes. But one day, her life changed forever. It was just before sunset. The sky was turning orange and red. The dry wind of harmattan blew softly through the trees. Smoke from cooking fires rose gently in the air. Naya walked home on her usual path. It was a narrow road, quiet and lonely, with tall grass on both sides. She had taken that road many times before. Nothing had ever gone wrong. But that evening felt strange. The street lamps flickered above her. The wind felt colder than usual. She had a strange feeling like someone was watching her. She looked behind her. No one. Then suddenly, everything went dark. A strong hand grabbed her from behind and covered her mouth. She couldn't scream. Another hand held her waist tightly and pulled her into the bush. The leaves rustled loudly under her feet as she struggled. She kicked, she hit, but it was no use. The next thing she knew, she was thrown into the back of a truck. The doors slammed shut. The engine roared. The truck drove into the night. Naya was trapped. Her heart beat fast. Her whole body shook with fear. She tried to speak, but her voice was gone. Her mouth was dry. Her eyes were wide with terror. The man who took her sat quietly. He was tall and strong. His eyes were sharp and he didn't blink much. When he spoke, his voice was low and serious. "Do what I say and you won't be hurt," he said. There was no emotion in his voice, only cold warning. They drove for a long time. Naya didn't know where they were going. The road got bumpier. The trees outside grew thicker. Then they stopped. The man pulled her out of the truck and led her into the forest. The sky was dark now. Owls hooted in the trees. Crickets chirped loudly. The wind moved the leaves with a soft hiss. In the middle of the forest stood an old wooden hut. It looked broken and abandoned. The roof had holes. The windows were cracked. A small oil lamp hung from the ceiling inside, flickering weakly. The air smelled of wet wood and dust. The floor creaked under their feet. Inside, there was almost nothing. Just a thin mat in the corner and a small wooden stool. Naya's eyes scanned the room quickly. Before she could do anything, the man took a thick metal chain and locked it around her wrist. He tied it to a pipe running along the wall. The chain was tight and cold. Naya sat down slowly, her back against the wall. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just listened to the wind outside. Her first thought, "I have to escape." She pulled at the chain with all her strength. It made a loud clanging noise. Her wrist hurt. The chain didn't move. The man stood at the door, watching her. "Don't waste your strength," he said in a calm, flat voice. Naya looked away. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't want him to see her cry. She sat in silence for hours. Her mind was full of fear, but deep inside something told her this was just the beginning. For the first few days, Naya didn't talk. She refused to eat the food he brought. She looked at him with hate in her eyes. She didn't cry in front of him. She wanted him to know, "You cannot break me." But he was not what she expected. He didn't beat her. He didn't yell. He moved slowly and always kept his distance. One cold night, Naya sat curled on the mat, shivering. She had no blanket. The cold wind blew through the broken window. She wrapped her arms around herself, teeth chattering. Then, without saying a word, the man placed a blanket over her shoulders. Naya froze. Why would someone so cruel do something kind? She hated that small part of her that felt thankful. Later, he started to talk. At first, just a few words. Then one evening he said, "I'm not the person you think I am." Naya didn't answer, but she was listening. He told her his name was Ikan. He told her little things about his past, about a bad childhood, about people who hurt him, about being alone. She didn't want to care, but his words stayed in her head. One day, while trying to open a loose wooden board in the floor, Naya cut her hand. Blood dripped from her palm. She hid it quickly, afraid he would get angry. But when Ikan saw the blood, he knelt beside her. He cleaned the wound and wrapped it with clean cloth. "You should be more careful," he said quietly. Nya couldn't believe his soft voice. It confused her even more. After that, he brought her a cup of warm tea, then a book, then an extra blanket. Every little thing made her question him more. Was this man a monster or something else? She started to see another side of him. He sighed when he thought she wasn't looking. Sometimes he sat by himself for hours, staring at the candle. One night, he sat near the door and spoke softly. "I had a little sister," he said. "Her name was Zuri. Someone took her, I couldn't protect her." Naya looked at his face. His eyes were wet with tears. She felt something inside her heart. A tightness, a sadness, but she shook it off. "Don't forget what he did to you," she told herself. Still, something between them was changing. Some nights their eyes met too long. The silence between them felt heavy, full of feelings no one spoke about. Nya lay awake thinking, why do I feel this way? She was scared, not just of him, but of her own feelings. Was she starting to care for the man who kidnapped her? One evening, while the wind blew through the trees and the candlelight danced on the wall, Ikan said, "You think I'm evil, don't you?" Naya didn't reply. He told her more. About a father who beat him, a mother who didn't stop it. "No one ever came for me," he said. "No one cared." Naya listened. Her heart was heavy. She didn't want to feel sorry for him, but she did. Then he told her again about Zuri, his little sister. "She was my only family," he whispered, "and I failed her." Naya looked at him. For the first time, she saw more than a kidnapper. She saw a broken man. Still, she was confused. Was this real, or just a trick? The next few days, Ikan was different. He spoke more. He smiled sometimes. And Naya, she listened more. She hated herself for feeling anything. But it was already too late. She didn't know who she was anymore. She was not just a girl tied to a chain. She was now a girl lost in feelings she couldn't explain. And in the heart of Ijara Forest, far away from everyone who knew her, Naya's soul was caught in a storm she never saw coming. Days in the old hut followed a strange routine. Sometimes it felt peaceful, sometimes terrifying. Nia stayed quiet, but her heart was never calm. The chain on her wrist reminded her every day she was still a prisoner. One evening, as the oil lamp glowed weakly in the corner, Naya heard something new. Voices outside the cabin. She sat up quickly. The wind rustled the trees, but this wasn't the wind. It was a conversation. She pressed her ear against the wooden wall. The voice of Ikan, her captor, was clear, but another voice, one she didn't know, spoke back. Ikan's tone was fast and nervous. He sounded afraid. Snippets of what they said made her blood run cold. They talked about leaving the forest and hurting someone who might be a threat. Nya's heart pounded. If Ikan was planning to escape, she might never get another chance to run. And if he became more dangerous, someone could die. All the confusing emotions she had felt, his kindness, his pain, they all meant nothing now. She had to get out. That night, when everything went quiet and Ikan went into the next room, Naya started preparing. She looked around the hut carefully. Her wrist was still chained, but the lock on the window seemed loose. She had watched him handle tools before. She remembered where he hid them. Her hands shook. What if he caught her? What if he hurt her? Still, she reminded herself, freedom must come first. She waited until the wind was loud. Then slowly, She pulled out the jagged piece of metal she had hidden under her mat. Her fingers were stiff, but she worked fast. Every creak of the wooden floor made her freeze. Finally, the chain snapped open. Her heart raced. She tiptoed to the window. Gently, she pushed it. It opened with a soft squeak. The cold night air touched her skin. For the first time in weeks, she was free. She climbed out and landed in the tall grass. Her bare feet touched the soil. The moon was high above, casting silver light through the trees. She ran. Branches scratched her legs. Leaves crunched under her feet. Her breath was heavy, but she didn't stop. Then, she heard a voice. Low. Familiar. Naya, stop. She froze. Slowly, she turned. There he was, Ekin, standing just a few steps behind. His face was half covered, in shadow. He held no weapon. But his eyes, they looked different. Not angry. Not cruel. Broken. Begging. Please don't go, he said, his voice cracking. You don't understand, you're all I have. Naya's breath caught in her throat. This was the man who took her. But now he stood like a lost child. She wanted to scream, to hit him, but her heart was confused. No, she said softly, her voice shaking but strong. You don't get to do this. You kidnapped me, you hurt me, and now you want me to stay. That's not love, that's control. Her words hit him hard. He looked down, his shoulders dropped. For a moment, he just stood there. Then, he moved aside. Go, he whispered. Neo's eyes filled with tears. She turned and ran. This time, she didn't look back. The forest branches pulled at her clothes. Her feet hit the ground fast. Her heart raced with every step. And then she saw lights, flashlights, voices, people. She thought she was safe. But then, she heard his voice one last time. Turning back, she saw Ekin standing behind her, hands raised in the air. Police officers ran toward him. He didn't fight. He didn't run. He looked at her with sad eyes and said, "It's over." Then he fell to his knees. The officers grabbed him. One of them came to Naya, covering her with a warm blanket. "Are you hurt?" they asked. She couldn't speak. She nodded slowly. Her body was safe, but her heart was full of pain. The man who took everything from her had just given her freedom. But why? Days passed. Naya returned home to her mother's warm arms. She sat in her room, safe, but lost in thought. She couldn't stop remembering his face, his voice, his tears. Then, something unexpected arrived, a letter. Her hands shook as she opened it. It was from Ekin. Inside, he had written everything. Not just his crimes, but the reason behind them. He said he took her because he believed someone was coming for her, that she was in danger, that he was trying to protect her from someone far worse. The letter had details, names, things Naya had never heard. It didn't feel like a lie. At the bottom of the letter, there was a small newspaper clipping. It told the story of another girl who had disappeared in the same way. Nia's heart turned cold. Could he have been telling the truth, or was this all part of another game? She didn't know. Weeks turned into months. Naya began healing. She started going to therapy. She spoke about her fears, her anger, her guilt. She tried to understand what had happened. She had hated Ekin, but a small part of her felt sorry for him. She had seen his pain, his brokenness. She would never forget what he did. But she couldn't erase the good moments either. The warm tea, the blanket, the way he stepped aside. Was he a villain or a lost soul? Maybe both. In the end, one question stayed with her. Was I just a victim of pain or a victim of love? Nia may never find a clear answer. But one thing was certain. She survived. And that was enough. If you loved this story, Please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful African tales. Tap the bell so you never miss a story that touches the heart.